Hey people, welcome back to the channel. This is a story in which Naruto meets Kurama in the land of waves and they have a mutual friendship. In this story Naruto shifts toward his mother's side as a Uzumaki seal master. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Leave a comment if you want to suggest fanfic. Check the description for credits and support the creator of the story. So let us begin. Chapter 46. Trouble in the Land of Greens, are you sure? I am, Hokage-sama. Reports just confirmed the presence of a small militant group operating in the area surrounding the Land of Greens, said an Anbu scout. Tsunade reached into her desk and pulled out a map. The Anbu pointed to region in the northeastern part of the Land of Greens. Our scouts report that to be the rebel-controlled area. Do we have any teams operating in that area? Tsunade grunted a little. We have a team of genin escorting a merchant caravan to the capital of the Land of Greens. If I'm correct, they will pass just south of the rebel-controlled area, but that doesn't mean that they won't come into contact with them. Once they make it to the capital, they should be safe, but Hokage-sama, how long before the caravan should reach the rebel-controlled region? Asked the Anbu. Perhaps we could send support. Tsunade let out a little sigh. I wish I could do that, but if they are on schedule, they will reach that area by late morning tomorrow. It would be at least a 4-day journey to reach them and by then they'll be at the capital, hopefully. Hokage-sama, is there anything you can do? The ninja assigned to the caravan are merely genin after all, said the Anbu. As much as I would wish to, it's a little too late now. Besides they are only escorting merchants, it's not like they are escorting the daimyo of the Land of Greens or anything. Do you have anything to report on the rebel group? Asked Tsunade. Hi. Initial reports show the rebel group to be roughly 3 dozen in size. Most of them have minimal shinobi training, said the Anbu. This reassured Tsunade. Common bandits were something Naruto, Sakura, and Lee could dispatch with ease. What the Anbu said next though didn't help. However, we believe their leaders to be the 3 Kurabaki. What? Shouted Tsunade, slamming her fist into the desk and cracking it in two. Shizune, who was also in the office, sighed. Tsunade-sama, who are the 3 Kurabaki? Asked Shizune. Kurabaki Tsugi, Richie, and Miki. They are members of the former Kurabaki clan of Iwagakure who fled after a failed attempt to overthrow the Tsuchikage. The scary part is that they came insanely close to accomplishing their goal. All 3 of them are Jonin-level ninja who possess a rare and unique bloodline, said Tsunade. What? Now it was Shizune's turn to be surprised. What bloodline exactly do they have? If I'm correct, it's known as the magnet release. It's a powerful bloodline that allows them to control anything that is iron. They were a dangerous force that nearly cost us big in Second Shinobi World War if it wasn't for the Yondaime, said Tsunade. But Tsunade-sama, if they're that dangerous, then we have to pull Naruto, Sakura, and Lee out immediately, advised Shizune. I know. The best we can do is hope that Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke don't even come into contact with them. After all, they are only escorting a merchant caravan, said Suand. And if they do, by chance come into contact with the Kurabaki? Asked Shizune. Tsunade sighed again. Then we hope that they can make it out alive. There's no way support will reach them in time. But just in case, Dragon form a support squad and rendezvous with the team assigned to the Land of Greens immediately. Hi, Hokage-sama. We'll leave by the end of the hour, said the Anbu before leaving. Tsunade-sama, said Shizune. Damn it, she said before chucking half of her already broken desk out of the window. Be safe, Naruto. That same evening, the caravan that Naruto, Sakura, and Lee were assigned to escort had stopped for the evening. There were some elderly members of the caravan, meaning that they couldn't keep going through the night. Hey Naruto, what are you doing? Asked Sakura. Naruto had been on top of the cart, fiddling with something. Huh. Oh, I'm just working with a seal or two, replied Naruto. Sakura chuckled a little and Naruto shot her a confused look. Sorry, I still don't see you as the Fuinjutsu, but it looks like you actually know what you're doing. So what are you doing anyways? Well, I've been thinking of sealing my kunai and shuriken in a seal instead of carrying them. But I'm not sure what to seal them in. I could just use a scroll, kind of like Tenten, but that doesn't feel like it would be easy enough to do so, said Naruto. Well, is this the seal? Asked Sakura, taking a look at what Naruto had written on the scroll in front of him. Yeah, I've got it to work, but I'm not sure what to do with it exactly, said Naruto. He placed his hand over the seal and instantly 4 shuriken appeared in his hand. I can control the number of shuriken with the amount of chakra I channel into the seal, but I still don't quite know where to put it. Well, why don't you get a pair of bracers and put the seal over your wrist or something? Or even a pair of gloves. In fact, I think I saw a few pairs of gloves in the carts, maybe they have some you could use, said Sakura. Really? Thanks Sakura, said Naruto before running off to check with the merchants. Naruto found one of the merchants and they did in fact have a few gloves in their cart that they were selling. Naruto found a few pairs of fingerless gloves with steel plates on the back side. They were similar to the gloves that Kakashi wore, except they extended up the arms a few inches, just enough for Naruto to put a seal on the bottom side of the wrist. And best of all, they came in a variety of colors, including orange and pink. Shortly after he returned to the top of the cart he was working upon and showed Sakura his findings. Hey Sakura, you want a pair? Said Naruto, holding up a pair of pink gloves, identical to the pair of orange gloves he had gotten hold of. Really? Said a slightly surprised Sakura. Yeah, the seal's not really that hard to make and I already bought the gloves. All I need are a few of your shuriken that you want sealed, said Naruto. Actually could you seal Senbon for me? Asked Sakura. Senbon. Have you been spending too much time with Haku? Joked Naruto. Well, while I was training with Tsunade Shisho, Shizune Senpai and Haku taught me how to poison and use Senbon. I felt those would be a better weapon for me, said Sakura, pulling out a pouch that she kept at her side. When she opened it, Naruto paled at the sight of so many needles inside the bag. The plain ones are just that, plain. The blue ones are a type of sleeping agent. Let me guess, the black ones have the toxic poison that kills, right? Interrupted Naruto. Nope, the pink ones are the ones that kill. The black ones are a paralysis toxin, said Sakura. Naruto just looked at her. What? I don't like people thinking pink is only a girly color. So could you by chance seal my Senbon for me? Naruto snapped out of his little trance. Yeah, I could. But I'll need a little bit longer to make a different seal to separate the different Senbon, said Naruto. I mean, if it's too big of a problem, then you don't have to, said Sakura. Don't worry Sakura, it's not a problem. I just need to make a slightly different seal, but it's nothing hard, said Naruto. Now, why don't you get some sleep? I'll take the first shift and wake bushy brows in about 3 hours. Okay then, good night Naruto, said Sakura before turning in for the night. You've really changed, Naruto. I can only imagine what you'll be like when you come back from your trip with Jiraiya-sama. I wonder how much Sasuke's changed as well. The caravan set off the next morning. Naruto had managed to take a seat on top of one of the carts as he was just putting the finishing touch on the sealed gloves he was making for Sakura and himself. He had offered one for Lee, but sadly Lee informed him that using seals was not within his reach as well, but thanked Naruto for the offer anyways. When the gloves were done, Sakura noticed that they were pretty easy to operate. All she had to do was channel and guide chakra into a certain part of the seal and she could call upon the desired Senbon. With a little bit of practice, summoning the proper type of Senbon from the gloves would be second nature. Sakura, do you notice that something is up with these merchants? Whispered Lee. Yeah, I've noticed. They're tense, like they're expecting something big to happen, replied Sakura. She looked up at Naruto and received a nod from him. Why are these guys so tense and anxious? And then there's that Shun. Something seems off about him. Wait, why is it I can all of the sudden feel this? Thought Naruto. I can explain that, said Kurama. Naruto listened for the answer. The term Jinchuriki refers to a living human sacrifice. In short, you sacrifice your bodies and ambitions at a normal like to contain a biju. Like me, however, with all sacrifices, you get something in return. As a result, Jinchuriki develop a few abilities that are unique between the containers. The abilities you gain depend on the tailed beast sealed inside you and how much of our chakra you have been exposed to. When that pervert loosened the seal in Uzu, you gained access to the second ability you get for being a Jinchuriki. Wait. I get abilities with being a Jinchuriki. And what do you mean by this is my second ability? Are you saying I've already got an ability and can I get more? Asked Naruto. Slow down, Kit. Every Jinchuriki has one thing in common and that's a large chakra reserve, due to having our chakra sealed inside you. At the same time, if the human and demon cooperate, then the Jinchuriki becomes practically immune to any attempts on having their chakra system controlled, such as Genjutsu. Now, every Jinchuriki gains unique abilities based on the Biju sealed inside them. For example, the reason your friend Gara can control the sand is because of that damned raccoon. As for you, your first ability from me has been your increased healing factor. Okay, we already talked about this. So how exactly powerful is this healing factor of mine? Asked Naruto. Well, you already know you can heal broken bones in less than a day's time. However, if my chakra is focused on the area of injury, the rate of healing rivals even that of the slug princess's meiotic regeneration. In that sense, you would even be able to heal injuries like getting stabbed in the heart, so long as something like getting decapitated or your heart completely ripped out doesn't occur. Wow. Really? Exclaimed Naruto. Yes, now just don't do something idiotic and get carried away. Just because I said there is a chance you may survive, doesn't mean that you necessarily will. Anyways, now you're just realizing the second ability and that is what is known as negative emotion sensing. Basically, it allows you to sense when there is some sort of tension between people and it also lets you know when someone's intending to kill someone. While not in the same sense as your little vixen's sensing abilities with her eyes, it is still a powerful sensory ability. Ah. I see, so that's why I can sense the tension between these merchants. But wait, why couldn't I do something like this until now? Asked Naruto. Because this ability required our chakras to be more intertwined, which is what happened when that pervert loosened the seal, explained Kurama. Now, the last thing that I know you have is access to my elemental affinity, fire. But I thought my affinity was wind, said Naruto. Geez, you can be dense at times. Your affinity is wind, mine is fire. As such, you have a pretty strong fire nature, although it is not quite as strong as your wind nature, since that was discovered as the dominant nature. Wow, so you're saying I can learn cool fire jutsus like Sasuke? Asked Naruto. Yep. But not now, I sense something coming. On top of one of the wagons, Naruto instantly snapped to attention, heading his inhabitants' warnings. Sakura and Lee soon followed and before they knew it, a group of roughly 20 bandits had surrounded the caravan. Hand over the princess now, and we'll let you go, demanded one of the bandits. Princess. We don't have any princess, replied a confused Lee. Stop playing dumb, said the bandit, pointing towards Shun. Her. Now hand her over before we decide to kill you all. Shun glared angrily at the bandit and one of the other merchants came up to her. Haruno-sama, please take cover under the carts and we'll take care of these thugs, said one of the merchants. The three-leaf genin were still trying to make heads or tails of the entire situation before the bandits expired their offer and attacked. Naruto, Sakura, Lee, and two of the merchants quickly engaged the bandits. It became clear instantly that these weren't common bandits and Sakura quickly figured that they had some form of shinobi experience, although they didn't appear to be much more than low genin level. Lee had just dodged a slash of a sword when his leg sent a bandit flying back into a tree, breaking the poor tree and knocking the bandit unconscious. Konoha Senpo. Leaf Hurricane, Lee shouted as he launched two sweeping kicks at a pair of bandits, knocking them out as well. My flames of youth are burning brightly today. PHFT. Like a little pink-haired girl's going to be able to do anything, mocked one of the bandits that Sakura was facing. This only served to tick Sakura off as she had enough of being considered useless. The bandits only continued their mocking of her before. Shinoru. I also remembered that I have forgotten Sakura's little battle cry before slamming her fist into someone's face, Sakura shouted before slamming her fist into one of the bandits' face, knocking him through several trees and leaving a shocked and paled look on the face of everyone who had just witnessed that. What the hell has that Suon been doing with her? Asked Kurama. I don't know, but remind me never to get on her bad side again, thought Naruto. Well, it's been nice knowing you, Kit. We both know you're going to piss her off at some point, responded Kurama. Sakura looked around at her teammates' expressions. What? You think Tsunade Shisho has been teaching me only medical jutsu? Asked Sakura, who couldn't help but smile a little. While fine-tuning Sakura's chakra control, Tsunade had also taught the Pinkett how to use bursts of chakra to greatly increase her strength. Naruto soon snapped out of his little trance. Well, I guess now is as good of a time as any to give it a try. Futon. Great breakthrough, he shouted, taking a deep breath and mixing his chakra with the air in his lungs. When he unleashed it all, the 6 bandits he was facing were thrown off their feet and back several meters. Yes. Looks like I'll be getting that B-rank jutsu when we get back. Naruto, Sakura, your flames of youth burn even brighter than the last time I have had the pleasure of fighting with you. Come, let us finish off the remainder of these bandits with one last youthful bout, exclaimed Lee. When the battle was over, Naruto, Sakura, and Lee learned a few shocking truths. The first was that Yorinojo and Kikuho were actually Land of Green's ninja who had a few special techniques that they called flower jutsu. However, the most surprising truth was that Shun was actually Princess Haruna of the Land of Greens. We never can get just a normal C-rank mission, can we? Naruto whispered to Sakura. This caused Sakura to chuckle a little. Nope. I guess C ranks that aren't what they seem are our specialty. Sakura then turned to the merchants. So what exactly is going on here? When Haruna Haim was a child, there was an attempted coup on our country. Fearing for Haruna's safety, he offered her to foreign countries to secure the welfare of our nation. Her father passed away a few weeks ago and we need to get Haruna Haim to the capital to restore rule in the nation and to prevent another inevitable coup. From the looks of it, we need to hurry as they have already begun to move, said Yorinojo. Who are they? Asked Sakura. They are known as the Kurabaki. They are 3 siblings who have been targeting our country for some time. All 3 are powerful ninja who we were hoping to avoid by disguising ourselves as a merchant caravan, said Yorinojo. Sakura sighed. Her first mission after being ambushed by the Sound 4 of course had to involve them going up against 3 Jonin-level ninja and that they were really escorting a princess instead of a simple merchant caravan. You do realize that this is something we should have been told from the very beginning. If you would have mentioned that, you would have been assigned Jonin as protection instead of us 3 genin. We understand, but we need to maintain our cover and Jonin guards we fear would draw too much attention, said Kikuho. Kikuho, Yorinojo, we need to move, said Haruna, talking for the first time since her identity had been revealed. But, Haruna-sama, what about the rest of the caravan? Asked Yorinojo. Just leave them. They'll just serve to slow us down. In fact, if one was to impersonate me, perhaps they could be used as a decoy while we make our way towards the capital, said Haruna. What? But Haruna-sama, if we do that, we leave them unprotected from an attack if the Kurabaki decide to attack, said Yorinojo. So be it. If it means I can get back to the capital safely, then that sacrifice is worth it, said Haruna before receiving an orange-gloved fist to the cheek. What the hell is your problem, lady? Shouted Naruto. Naruto. Stop it, ordered Sakura. But Sakura, you heard what she said, said Naruto. I know. I hate to say that I agree that the rest of the peddlers would only slow us down and we need to move quickly now, said Sakura. But that doesn't mean that we should just sacrifice them and leave them defenseless, argued Naruto. I know that as well, Sakura said, while thinking for a moment. Yorinojo, Kikuho, can you watch after the peddlers and make sure they reach the capital safely? That way, my team and I can take Haruno-sama onward to the capital at a quicker pace. But, what if they attack you? Surely you 3 can't take on a trio of Jonin-level ninja all by yourselves, said Yorinojo. I think we can, but we can't protect an entire caravan full of innocents if they do attack. They are most likely to attack the princess, not the caravan, said Sakura. Sakura's right. It would be most unyouthful of them to target the merchants and distract us. Besides, I have faith that the 3 of us will be more than enough for the 3 of them, said Lee, giving the nice guy pose. Don't worry, we'll get Haruna to the capital, said Naruto, glaring at Haruna. And we'll do it without leaving the merchants unprotected. Naruto made a few shadow clones and left them with the merchants. If anything happened to the caravan, he would know, and the shadow clones could provide a little protection if they were attacked by any low-level bandits. The group that consisted of Sakura, Naruto, Lee, and Haruna had been making excellent time. To make things even better, Naruto had yet to receive any feedback from his clones, which meant that nothing had happened to the caravan. As it was, given another 2 hours of traveling and they would arrive at their destination, and Naruto would be rid of this cold-hearted princess who had suggested sacrificing the rest of the caravan to ensure that she got home safely. It was then that Naruto began to pick up on the presence of negative emotions, quickly closing in on them. There were only 3 targets and he could tell that they already seemed to be rather powerful. There was no doubt about it, the Kurabaki ninja were upon them. Move! Shouted Naruto as a hail of kunai and shuriken came sailing out of the trees towards them. Naruto and Sakura ducked to the side as Lee grabbed Haruna and jumped up into a tree. Well, it looks like couple of genin were able to dodge your attack after all, Richie. 3 ninja landed on a tree branch opposite from Lee. All 3 of them looked similar, dressed in dark purple sleeveless shirts and pants. They all had similar long brown hair and a look of arrogance on their faces. The only real differences were that one of them was obviously female while the other 2 were males. Now, hand over the princess, or do you want to turn out like the rest of your precious caravan? Sakura and Lee gasped while Naruto remained calm. He had gotten no feedback from his clones, so he was certain that they had not encountered any danger. Haruna on the other hand, remained unfazed and this managed to piss Naruto off a little. Don't you care what happened to your protectors? Your friends? Asked Naruto to Haruna. They were simply there to slow them down. I would have imagined that they would have held off these attackers longer, but it seems like I was mistaken, said Haruna. Bah! Cut the crap already. They were willing to do anything to protect you and all you do is look at them like they're worthless, said a frustrated Naruto. It doesn't matter as long as I make it back to the capital and can resume rule over this nation, said Haruna. The hell it does. Who are you going to look out for as a ruler if all you do is sacrifice them to protect yourself? A leader's supposed to put themselves before others and set an example, argued Naruto. You know what, forget it. The caravan is still alive. Hey, I'm impressed you were able to see through my bluff without even so much as flinching, commented the other male Kurobaki, who was most likely Tsugi. Sakura and Lee let out a sigh of relief. I left clones back with the caravan. I would have known had they been attacked, explained Naruto. The only type of clones I know that are able to do that are shadow clones. An interesting jutsu for a genin to have, said Tsugi. But it does not matter, you still don't stand a chance against us. Wanna bet? Here's a little taste of my own Shuriken Storm. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto unleashed a barrage of over 100 shuriken upon the 3 enemy ninja. To Naruto's surprise, the shuriken were stopped before they could reach their target. They weren't deflected, they were simply hovering in midair as Tsugi had his arm extended. An interesting technique, but still no match against us, said Tsugi. Jiden. Repulsion. Naruto and the team barely had time to move as a hail of shuriken descended upon them. Naruto created a few clones to act as a shield between the shuriken and Sakura and himself. Naruto, Sakura, shouted Lee. While Naruto's clone shield had taken care of most of the shuriken, a few had gotten through to the 2 members of Team 7. Thankfully though, the injuries weren't too severe, with the worst being a minor puncture wound that Sakura got to the side. Don't say we didn't warn you. You had your chance to hand over the princess and live, but I guess we'll just have to kill you now and then kill the princess, laughed Mickey, the lone female member of the group. Lee jumped down from tree he was in, telling Haruna to take cover behind one of the trees, only for him to be stopped midair. Well, what do we have here? Asked Richie, taking particular interest in Lee. Feels like you've got something metallic in your legs. Damn. So it looks like he can use the jiden as well. To make things worse, the pieces of my staff that I have strapped to my legs are giving him control, thought Lee. Lee, shouted Sakura as she rushed to help her teammate. Now where do you think you're going, Pinky? Asked Mickey, jumping down in front of Sakura. As a response, Sakura unsealed some of the senbon from the seals on her new gloves and sent them towards Mickey. Like what had happened with Naruto's shuriken, Sakura's senbon were stopped midair. Haha, you really think metal weapons like that are going to work on us? With a flick of her wrist, Miki sent the Senbon back towards Sakura, using the same repulsion jutsu that her brother had used against Naruto. Sakura panicked and managed to dodge all the Senbon except one. Thankfully, she had not used the pink-tipped ones, but these were still the black-tipped ones. Even though one Senbon worth of poison wouldn't completely paralyze her, she didn't have long before the poison would begin hindering her own movements. Naruto growled at Tsugi, who just grinned. He grabbed a scroll from his side pocket and unsealed a couple dozen kunai from it, all of which were floating over his head and they were aimed at Naruto. Jitten. Metallic rain. Tsugi declared as he sent the kunai hurling towards Naruto. Futon. Great breakthrough. Naruto called out. He was hoping that the wind would be able to know the kunai away, but sadly Sugi's control of the kunai was too great for a little gust of wind to overpower. Naruto barely dove out of the way of the oncoming hail of kunai, only to be hit with one or two knives in the legs, resulting in two rather large gashes. As he recovered, Naruto noticed the cloud of kunai circling around a tree and returning for another go at him. Naruto was soon on the run, dodging the continuous barrage of kunai with no time to form his own jutsu. After being flung around like a ball tethered to a post on a children's playground, Lee finally managed to unhook the fragments of a boss staff that he had strapped to his legs. To Richie's surprise, each foot-long section of the staff had to weigh 60-70 pounds each. It was a wonder the green-clad ninja could even move with them on his legs. As he was not comfortable with using a boss staff, he sent the fragments of Lee's staff flying away in 6 directions, nearly taking out Sakura with one of the fragments. He then proceeded to unseal his own weapons, a set of 6 long katanas. Like his brother, Richie could control these with his Jitten. Jitten. Dance of Blades. Lee found himself surrounded by 6 blades, dodging attack after attack as he was unable to escape the circle of swords that he found himself in. For Sakura, things weren't looking so good for her. She could already feel the effects of the poison on her system as her legs were beginning to slow down. Unlike her brothers, Miki's weapon was not sealed as she pulled out a rather long chain with razor-sharp barbs on it. Jitten. Steel Serpent. Miki called out as her chain seemed to come to life. It lashed out at Sakura, her impaired movement slowing her down to the point where the chain clipped her in the side as she stumbled back against a tree. Damn, it's just like last time, thought Sakura, back to the Sound 4 encounter. Like last time, she had been beaten into a corner and nearly killed, and now things weren't looking much different. Watching from behind a tree, Haruna was seriously beginning to worry. The 3 genin that were assigned to protect her were not faring so well against their superior opponents. Once they were dead, nothing would stand in the way of the Kurobaki siblings from getting to her. She had to get away, now while the attackers were still distracted. She hopped down from the tree and began running away from the scene of the battle. This, however, did not go unnoticed to Naruto's opponent, Tsugi. The cloud of kunai that Tsugi had sailing towards Naruto was redirected towards Haruna, in an attempt to take her down before she could get away. By the time Naruto realized this, it was too late and the rain of kunai was quickly descending upon Haruna. Haruna-sama. Blood was splattered across the road as the rain of kunai dug into flesh. Lee was finding it unyouthful to be dancing in and out of the blades that he was busy dealing with. If only he could find an opening, then perhaps he could get to his opponent. However, the swords were moving too fast for him to even be able to think about attacking. I need more speed. Even without my weights, I'm still too slow. I need to use the gates. 4 should do it. Please forgive me, Guy-sensei, thought Lee. He stopped his movements as Richie readied his swords for a swift and finishing blow. Gate of opening, open. Gate of healing, open. Gate of life, open. Gate of pain, open. Richie felt the burst of chakra come from Lee and knew he had to act quick or else he was in for trouble. He had all 6 swords attack Lee at once, but Lee disappeared before the swords could taste blood. Before Richie could react, he felt a swift kick hit him from beneath as he was sent flying into the air. Lee used the shadow of the dancing leaf to appear behind Richie as he wrapped the Jitten user in bandages, before beginning the high-speed descent back to Earth. Richie slammed into the ground, head first. His neck snapped and he died from the impact. Lee powered down just in time to watch Sakura finish off her opponent. Sakura was cursing herself for being put in this situation again. She was backed against a tree and her opponent was taking advantage of her injury as Miki readied for the final blow. The steel chain lashed out at Sakura. No. I will not let this happen again, shouted inner Sakura as Sakura regained some fire in her eyes. She grabbed the chain with one arm as it dug into her flesh. Ignoring the pain and the effects of the poison in her system, Sakura wrestled for control with Miki. When she gathered her chakra in her arms, she yanked on the chain with all her strength, uprooting Miki and sending the enemy Kunoichi sailing towards Sakura. This is it! Screamed Sakura as she cocked back her free fist. Shinuru. Sakura's fist made contact with Miki's face, unleashing an incredible amount of force. You could hear the bones shattering in Miki's skull as she was sent flying back, dead from the impact of Sakura's fist. As she collapsed to her knees from the effects of the paralytic poison and the exhaustion of using her chakra, Lee rushed to her side, catching before she could fall to the ground. I've got you, Sakura, assured Lee. Haruna-sama. Both Lee and Sakura turned their head towards the screaming as blood splattered across the ground. Expecting the worst, Haruna opened her eyes to see Kikuho standing over to her, pain in his eyes and blood coming out of his mouth. Sugi's attack had been blocked by Kikuho, who now had dozens of kunai lodged in his back. He collapsed to the ground as Haruna looked on in shock. Tsugi growled at his failed attack and Naruto growled at Tsugi. However, this gave Naruto his opening to take down Tsugi. He turned around and dashed towards the last remaining Kurobaki, forming an orb of blue chakra in his hands. Tsugi saw Naruto's attack coming too late as Naruto slammed the orb into Tsugi's chest. Rasengan. Naruto shouted as the Rasengan sheared away at his chest, sending him crashing into the forest. Naruto rushed over to where Lee and Sakura were running, the fallen Kikuho. By this time, the rest of the caravan had caught up and were in shock as well at Kikujo's sacrifice. Haruna-sama, Kikuho coughed out. Kikuho, said Haruna as she began to tear up. I'm sorry, my Haim. But I did what I needed to ensure the rightful person reclaims the throne, said a weakening Kikuho. No, please don't go, begged Haruna. You've been with me for so long. I can't let you go. Haruna's heart was beginning to melt. Ever since she had left her home as a small child, Kikuho had always been there for her. Even when she was brooding about sacrifices being necessary for her survival, Kikuho had been one of the few, if not the only person who she actually trusted. No, my Haim. I did what I had to and I sacrificed myself to ensure that you can lead our country onward, said Kikuho as his last few breaths slipped through his mouth. Please, just make sure our country is safe, for me. With that, Kikuho left the world of the living. Haruna continued to cry as the team of Konoha ninja mourned the loss of one of their newer comrades. Unbeknownst to them, they didn't notice the movement of many of the kunai. Then they heard a maniacal laugh behind them. Ha ha ha, laughed what looked like a possessed Tsugi. He was coughing up blood and he would be dead in a few moments, however he wasn't going down alone. If he was going to die, he was taking someone else, hopefully Haruna, with him. Now you've done it. Now you're going to die. Tsugi gathered as many kunai as he could in front of him as Naruto growled at the enemy. I've had enough of you and your damn knife rain, shouted Naruto as he pulled one of his dad's knives from his kunai pouch. He channeled wind chakra into it and threw it towards Tsugi. Ha! Your knife is useless against me, ha! Said Tsugi. Unfortunately for him, he found that he couldn't control the wind knife that Naruto had just thrown at him and before he could do anything else, the knife shot clear through the middle of Sugi's chest, finally killing him. Naruto turned around to see the caravan gathering around Kikujo's body. I'm sorry, cried out Haruna, catching everyone's attention. I'm sorry I've treated everyone like they mean nothing, that they are below me. I'm sorry. From now on, I'll put my people before me. Naruto just smiled at the change of heart the princess was having. The caravan continued underway, carrying Kikujo's body to its final place of resting and Haruna towards the throne that she would soon claim. I thank you all for everything, said Haruna to the three Konoha ninja at the gate of the Land of Green's capital. And I apologize if I may have come off as a bit of a heartless snob when we first met. Nah, don't worry. You seem like you've changed, so everything is alright. I am sorry about Kikuho though, said Naruto. Thank you for that. He has received a hero's burial and I won't be dishonoring his wish for me to lead this country to greatness, assured Haruna. We'll be going now, thank you for everything Haruna-sama and you'll do great, I know it, said Sakura. But if you need anything, you know who to ask, said Naruto. The three-leaf genin departed for home after spending a few days to rest up and attending Haruna's coronation. It was a 3-day journey at a ninja's pace for them to arrive back in Konoha. I'm relieved that the three of you are all right, and I'm impressed that the three of you took down the Kurobaki ninja, said Tsunade. So were there any other developments on the mission? Sakura told the details about the mission. Given everything that has happened, the Land of Greens has agreed to upgrade this mission to AB rank, and I do congratulate you for everything that was accomplished. Lee, even after disobeying my order and using the gates, I feel you are fit to compete in the Chunin exams, said Tsunade. Hi, Hokage-sama. Thank you, said Lee. Now, this is the first time the three of you have had to deal with this, but as there was a bounty on the heads of the Kurobaki trio, you will be awarded your shares of the bounty. However, village policy is that the village takes 30% of the bounty. The rest of it will be divided amongst the three of you, explained Tsunade. Do you understand? The three genin nodded. What did you guys get into this time? Huh. Kakashi-sensei, exclaimed Naruto. Kakashi and Sasuke had walked into the Hokage's office. Kakashi, you're late. I ordered you back a week ago, glared Tsunade. Kakashi just chuckled and came up with another ridiculous excuse. Right, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Lee. You three are dismissed. I've got to take care of Kakashi's late ass, said Tsunade as Kakashi gulped. Before you leave, meet where we first met tomorrow at noon, said Kakashi. Chapter 47. Together again. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Lee had just exited Tsunade's office, only to hear a screaming come from the office. Hey, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I kind of want to go get the B-rank Jutsu Arrow Sennin and Bachan promised me before the Jutsu archives close. That, and I was kind of hoping to catch up with Hinata for the first time in what feels like 2 months, said Naruto before taking off. I'm going to take off too. I must strengthen my flames of youth before we leave for the Chunin exams, exclaimed Lee as he ran off towards the training grounds. All that left was Sakura and Sasuke in a kind of awkward silence. Well, I'm sure you want to go off and train, so I guess I'll see you tomorrow, Sasuke, said Sakura. She was about to walk off until Sasuke spoke up. It's getting late and I've been out in the wilderness training for the past month straight. I wouldn't mind getting some decent food and catching up, and seeing what you've been up to this past month, said Sasuke. Sakura just froze at the turn of events. It almost sounded like Sasuke was asking her out. Inner Sakura practically screamed out in joy. But, Sakura realized that it probably wasn't a date, just two teammates catching up. She may have given up on her fangirl tendencies, but this she wasn't going to pass up. Sure. Naruto had just reached the Jutsu archives. The shinobi librarian in charge of the archives wasn't quite sure what to say. It wasn't that this was Naruto looking for access into the B-rank Jutsu archives. If the librarian was a civilian, then Naruto probably would have been kicked out on spot, but because the librarian was a shinobi, he saw Naruto as just that, a fellow shinobi. However, the rules were not to allow genin access to anything above C rank, and that was only for genin who had at least a year and a half of experience. Yet Naruto had a note signed by the Hokage allowing him to access 1B rank jutsu. The librarian in the end, just shrugged and let Naruto in. After a few minutes of searching, Naruto found something that interested him. Futon. Air Dragon Bullet. He remembered seeing something like this when Kakashi-sensei and Zabuza were fighting back in the Land of Waves. It was one of the first actual cool jutsu that he remembered seeing from Kakashi-sensei, and he felt the wind version of it would be great. Now that he had his jutsu that Bachan and Arrow Sennin had promised him, it was time to go find Hinata. He knew that she was somewhere in the village, as it was now a week before every genin entered in the Chunin exam left for Kumogakure. Tsunade had declared that every genin participating be given the week off to rest and train. Found her, thought Naruto. He had spent about 20 minutes searching for his blue-haired girlfriend. Naruto got that mischievous look on his face as he tried to sneak up on her. Hinata felt someone was behind her and she turned around to see who it was. Hinata. Is everything alright? Hinata had been walking with Tenten, the two of which had been growing closer over the time. Yeah, I just thought. Nothing, replied Hinata. I just thought someone was following me. And why would someone do that? Asked Tenten. Well, The elders have been a little more, well, hostile. Mean. Stalker-ish, said Tenten, completing Hinata's thoughts. Well, yeah. They've been harder on me for the past months, trying to get me to back out of the exams. They're afraid I'll do something to embarrass the clan or something, said Hinata. Don't worry about those pieces of garbage. You just need something to get your mind off of it. And I know what'll help, said Tenten. Lee's back, which means Naruto's back. A nice little date night should. Hinata. Naruto had dropped down from the tree, hanging upside down on the underside of the branch by his feet. His face was about level with hers and he had a big grin plastered on his face. Hinata went red and then unconscious. Well, she's getting better, but I can still make her faint if I surprise her, said Naruto. Tenten had her hand on her forehead and was just shaking her head. Shortly after, Tenten and Naruto were on their way with Hinata unconscious on Naruto's back. So what have you been up to, Naruto? Asked Tenten. You know, traveling with Ero Sennin, saving princesses, learning Fuinjutsu. Fuinjutsu. Tenten was having trouble comprehending that one. She was familiar with Fuinjutsu herself and Naruto just didn't seem like the Fuinjutsu. Are you sure you didn't hit your head on the branch back there before dropping down to scare Hinata? Why does everyone think that? I can do Fuinjutsu, see my gloves. I made those seals myself, said Naruto. Okay. Just calm down. That's just one thing I didn't quite expect out of you. I know a little myself and it's not easy, said Tenten. Speaking of which, what did those seals on your glove do? Naruto placed a hand over his glove and a few shuriken poofed into existence. Tenten just stared amazed. Naruto was actually telling the truth about Fuinjutsu. It makes it easier to store and carry shuriken, said Naruto. Naruto, said a just waking up Hinata. Hey, you're awake, exclaimed Naruto. Seeing that she was on Naruto's back, Hinata readjusted her grip and even tightened a little, not wanting to let go. Huh. Oh, we're here. To Naruto's surprise and Hinata's disappointment, they found themselves at Hinata's home. Naruto, I was hoping well, since this was our first time back together in over a month, if you wanted to well. Hinata began twiddling her fingers a little. So you wanted to go out tonight? Asked Naruto. Hinata looked up at the blonde, smiled and nodded. Okay. Well, I kinda brought you back here so you could at least clean up and change. You look like you've been training pretty hard today. Tell you what, I'll come back in an hour and we can go, sound good? Sure. Do you want to get some ramen then? Asked Hinata. Hey. That sounds great, said Naruto. I'll see you in an hour I guess. Hey Naruto, before you leave. Do you think you could show me how to make those seals on your gloves? Asked Tenten. Huh. Oh, yeah sure. How about sometime this week? Can't be tomorrow because I've got to meet with Kakashi-sensei, but I'll show you before we leave. Naruto ran off, back to his apartment to change out of his shinobi gear as Hinata went to do the same. Both looking forward to the first time they would see each other since Naruto went to Uzu with Jiraiya. Sakura and Sasuke were walking through town, having come from the local tea shop where they went to catch up on recent events. They had mostly talked about what they had been up to, Sasuke telling about his time with Kakashi and some of the jutsu he had learned. Sakura on the other hand talked about the most recent C rank, turned B rank mission and even Sasuke joked that they couldn't manage to get an ordinary C rank mission. Wait, Sasuke, joke. However, the one thing that caught Sakura's attention was that Sasuke sounded slightly impressed that Sakura had managed to take down her opponent, who was of Chunin low Jonin level. Now, Sakura had never known Sasuke to be impressed about anything her or Naruto had done, and she was a little freaked out at first. But she was sure that she heard a faint hint of impressed and satisfied with what she had been doing in Sasuke's tone. She was, for the very first time, having a casual, two-sided conversation with Sasuke outside training or any ninja-related activity. That is, until they encountered something more terrifying than Orochimaru himself. Oh, hey guys, said Kakashi, sending a wave their direction. He, along with Ebisu and some unknown ninja were sitting around a miniature fire with a few tents pitched. Now, this would be alright, if it wasn't for the fact that the tents were pitched in front of a bookstore that had a huge sign, advertising the release of Ika Ika Violence, scheduled to be released the following morning. All three of them had an Ika Ika book of some volume in their hand and they were laughing with a perverted giggle. That's just sad, was all Sakura could think of. Sakura, I'm sorry to say, but I think I've changed my mind. I'll be going to find Orochimaru now, said Sasuke, trying to clear his head of the picture in front of him. No, I completely understand. It's going to take me years to get this image out of my head, replied Sakura. The two parted ways as they went to try and cleanse their minds. Just my luck. I was actually getting Sasuke to talk to me a little bit more and it had to be ruined by a trio of perverted men, camping out for the release of some perverted book, thought a depressed Sakura. I'm going to strangle that perverted sensei when I see him tomorrow. Shouted inner Sakura. Hey, welcome to Ichiraku. I'll be with you in one moment, said Teuchi, his back turned to the customers as he was busy cooking ramen. Hey old man, said Naruto. Teuchi turned around to see his best customer, and a guest. Well, I was wondering when you'd finally bring your date here, said Teuchi, causing Hinata to blush. Suddenly, there was a flash. Ah, they're so cute together, aren't they daddy? Asked Ayame. Teuchi chuckled a little. So Naruto, I've got the ingredients for one of the recipes, do you want me to give it a shot? Asked Teuchi. Really? Hell yeah, shouted Naruto. Recipes? Asked Hinata. Huh. Oh that's right. I haven't told you anything about what I found on my trip, have I? Realized Naruto. With that, Teuchi set down a rather large bowl of miso ramen for the two to share while he began to work on what the Uzumakis had called their swirling tides ramen. While that was happening, Naruto began telling Hinata everything that happened on his trip. He told her what he found out about his mother. He told her about Jiraiya teaching him Fuinjutsu. He told her about his discovery of his Uzumaki heritage and all the valuable scrolls and the sword he found. He then told her about how he kicked the sound's ass out of Uzushiogakure. The only thing he didn't talk about was how he helped Jiraiya write his next Ika Ika book. I'm so happy you found out who your mother was and that she turned out to be who she was, a respected and strong kunoichi, said Hinata. Did you find anything on who your father might be? Naruto nearly choked on his ramen when Hinata asked that question. Damn Ero Sennin. I can keep that a secret from Sasuke. I can keep it a secret from Sakura. I can keep it a secret from just about anyone. But not her. I can't lie to Hinata. Gah, what do I do? Naruto was practically beating him up on the inside as Teuchi sent him a worried look, wondering how Naruto would handle this. Damn it. I'll have to talk to Bachan and see if it's alright. Naruto. Hinata was tugging at Naruto's sleeve when Naruto snapped out of his little trance. Oh, sorry Hinata. It's not something I can really talk about right now, apologized Naruto. Is everything alright? She asked. She could tell there was some battle going on in Naruto's head. I mean if you don't want to talk about it, I understand. No, I really do want to tell you, but I can't. At least not right here, said Naruto. So what have you been up to these past months? Naruto was trying to change the subject. Well there was this one mission. Where we had to check up on a former student of Kurenai-sensei's. Her name was Kurama Yakumo and she was having some issues, said Hinata. Kurama. I've heard that name before, but where? You've got 5 seconds before I beat you up and eat you, threatened the Kyuubi. Oh come on. Take a joke. It's not my fault they named their clan after you, replied Naruto. Naruto. Hinata was worried because Naruto paled. It's nothing. Stupid furball just can't take a joke, that's all, replied Naruto. So what happened? Well, she apparently has a huge ability for genjutsu, but the only problem was that her mind manifested a demon of its own and her abilities had to be sealed. We were trying to remove it and thankfully we did, said Hinata. So now Yakumo's going to be joining the shinobi forces as a genin once she receives a few remedial classes. Oh and I also completed that wind chakra exercise with the kunai. Wow. That's great, exclaimed Naruto. Now you can learn this cool new jutsu I just got with me. That'll be nice. Oh and what was Tenten asking you about that seal she wanted you to show her? Asked Hinata. Oh, nothing much. It's just an advanced storage seal I made that makes carrying shuriken and kunai much easier, said Naruto. I can make you one too or show you how to do it if you want. One bowl of swirling tide ramen, straight from my new menu, said Teuchi, setting the bowl of Uzumaki ramen in front of Naruto. The fully thing was that it even looked like there was a spiral or a vortex in the ramen bowl formed by all the ingredients. Naruto took a bite and his eyes snapped open. The flavors were dancing around in his mouth, ever changing as if there was a ramen whirlpool in his mouth. Oh, my, was all he could get out. So, how is it? Asked Teuchi. Hinata decided to see what the hype was about and took a chopstick full of ramen from the bowl. Her reaction was very similar as she was trying to comprehend the flavors that kept coming and going. There was something going on in this ramen, something almost magical. It's honestly the best ramen I've ever had, said Naruto before diving into the rest of the bowl. Teuchi laughed at his success. You know Pop, I've never seen him share ramen with anyone before, Ayame mentioned to her dad. Teuchi chuckled a little at this. Yes, it's surprising what adding a girl to your life will do. I still think they're the cutest. I'm going to go get the camera again, said Ayame, squealing a little. Naruto and Hinata were sharing the large bowl of ramen Teuchi had placed in front of them. It wasn't long before they learned that the secret of this ramen was to just enjoy it and let it do its thing, not try and comprehend it. There was no comprehending this ramen, it was just too unpredictable and that's what made it amazing. Hey Hinata, Naruto said, catching the young girl's attention. Have you done something with your hair? It looks a little different. Well I've been thinking about growing it out. Do you like it? Asked Hinata, hoping Naruto would say yes. At this point in time, her hair was about neck length. Imagine her hair in Shippuden and then just shorten it to neck length. Besides, it takes a few years to grow it to the length she had it in Shippuden. I think you'd look better with longer hair. I don't know why, but I like it better when girls have longer hair, said Naruto. Besides, why do you think I started that rumor that Sasuke liked girls with long hair back in the academy? That was you, said a surprised Hinata. Yep. I did it so all the girls in the class would grow their hair out. Besides, no one would grow their hair out if I had said it was Naruto who liked girls with long hair, said Naruto. I would have. The only reason I didn't was because I didn't want to look like a fangirls. I was hoping you would notice me if I didn't do what everyone else did, said Hinata. Now Naruto felt bad. The whole, I didn't notice Hinata back in the academy, was still a sore subject for him. I'm sorry Naruto. No, it's okay. Things just never went my way back then, but that doesn't matter. We're here now, aren't we? Naruto grinned and Hinata smiled with him. Damn it. I have to tell her. I can't keep the secret from her and she of all people deserves to know. This paperwork's going to kill me, shouted Tsunade. That's it, Shizune, we're going drinking tonight. Shizune sighed, but there was a knock on the door. What now? Groaned Tsunade, practically on the verge of tears. Hey Bachan. Sorry, but I need to ask a huge favor, said Naruto, coming into Tsunade's office. Great, the brat's just what I need now, thought Tsunade sarcastically. Fine, what is it? I need to tell Hinata about my dad, Naruto blurted out. Suon just stared wide-eyed at the blonde. And why should I let you do that? You know how dangerous a secret that is, said Tsunade. Yeah, I can keep that secret from anyone, but I just don't think I can keep it from her. You've gotta understand, she's been there for me and to me, she deserves to know. Come on Bachan, I can trust her, begged Naruto. I figured this would come, said Jiraiya, appearing in the window. Damn it Jiraiya, don't you ever use the door, shouted Tsunade. Jiraiya, you can't possibly be thinking of letting Hinata in. I know she may be trustworthy, but this secret is huge, argued Tsunade. I've been thinking about it. Her father knows after all and he can help her keep it, said Jiraiya. But still, Tsunade was interrupted. I'll stop calling you Bachan for a few months, said Naruto. This immediately got Tsunade's attention. What? She said, leaning her ears towards Naruto. Did I hear correctly? I said, I'll stop with the Bachan stuff for a few months. Suon-sama, said Naruto, adding the Tsunade-sama part to make it more convincing. I think Naruto wins this one, thought Jiraiya. Fine. But if I hear you mention the word Bachan, I'll bust your ass back to the preschool class in the academy, said Tsunade. So when do you want to tell her? Now, said Naruto, turning to the door. Hinata, you can come in. Hinata stepped through the door, still confused as to why Naruto would have to see the Hokage to talk about his father. Hinata, Suan addressed. Hi, Hokage-sama, responded Hinata. The Gaki here requested that you be told about the identity of his father. This is an S-class secret, do you understand? Said Tsunade. I mean, if it's too much trouble I don't need to, said Hinata. No Hinata, this is one secret that I won't keep from you. I don't think I could anyways and that's why we came here, said Naruto. Okay, I understand, said Hinata. Please let Naruto's father be someone great and noble. Fine. Seeing as you know about the Kyuubi sealed inside him, I'll start from the beginning. The night the Kyuubi attacked and the Yondaime was forced to sacrifice himself in order to seal it, he had to use a newborn infant to seal the Kyuubi in. However, the Yondaime was the type of person who could never ask another family to give up their child for the sealing ritual, so, he used his own son, said Tsunade. What? That night, was probably the loudest anyone had ever heard Hinata shout. You mean Naruto is? Yes Hinata, my dad is the Yondaime Hokage, said Naruto. Hinata spent the next 20 minutes just trying to take everything in. She was angry that Naruto's own father had sealed the Kyuubi inside him and condemned him to the life he currently lived. However, she quickly realized that the Yondaime had done what he had to in order to protect the village and that he never wished for this life for his son. It wasn't his fault that the villagers couldn't see Naruto as anything but the Kyuubi. She was sad that Naruto was denied the life he should have had. Being the son of the Hokage, he should have been treated as practically royalty, but he was treated as nothing more than a piece of trash on the street. She was happy that Naruto now knew who his parents were and that they were who they turned out to be. She was afraid that they would be some sort of disgrace to the village, but they weren't. They were two of Konoha's greatest heroes. Lastly, she was hopeful. Hopeful that when the day came that Naruto's heritage would truly be revealed, that her clan would openly accept their relationship, not just her father, Neji, and a small handful of branch members. Hinata, are you okay? Naruto finally asked. Yeah, it's just a lot to take in, replied Hinata. I still can't believe that you're the son of Konoha's greatest hero. I know, great isn't it? Naruto said, a huge grin plastered across his face. Now Hinata, you do understand that is to remain a closely guarded secret until Naruto turns 16, correct? Hinata nodded to Tsunade. The only people who know right now are myself because I'm Hokage and I need to know these things, Jiraiya because he's Naruto's godfather, your father because he was a close friend of Minato's, and Teuchi because he's the only one in the village with half a brain to connect the dots. Naruto and Hinata left the office so Tsunade could finally go and relieve some stress by drowning herself in sake. They found a nice spot on top of the Yondaime's head. Now Hinata understood why this was always where Naruto went. For the next hour or so, they talked and kissed a bit, until the curfew that Hiyashi had placed on their dates came and the two were forced to say goodnight. The next morning, Naruto was making his way to the academy, the place where Team 7 had first met Kakashi. However, he was stopped when he saw all the children outside showing off their newly earned forehead protectors to their parents. They had just had the graduation exams that morning. Naruto! Sakura shouted as she joined her teammate. Sasuke joined them as he jumped down from the tree. Hey guys, has it really been a year already? Asked Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura quickly realized what Naruto was talking about as they saw all the new genin with their forehead protectors. Wow, I guess it has, said Sakura. Hey, we had one hell of a first year for genin. The three reminisced for a few minutes before continuing to the top of the academy where they were supposed to meet. As normal, Kakashi wasn't there on time and they suspected he would be an hour or two late. Naruto, about those gloves you made yourself, Sakura. Sasuke said, not wanting to complete the sentence. Huh. Did I hear that right? Sasuke wants me to make him a pair of those gloves? Asked Naruto, nagging on Sasuke a little. Was all Sasuke did to respond. Geez, if you want a pair, then all you have to do is ask, said Naruto. Sasuke swallowed his pride. Well, can you? Can I what? Said Naruto. Don't push it, Dobi, said Sasuke. Can you make me a pair of those gloves? See, that wasn't too hard, said Naruto. And it just so happens that I've got an extra pair too. Naruto pulled out a pair of black gloves that he had also picked up from the cart. Anything specific? I mean, Sakura asked to be able to put different types of Senbon in. Wait, what? Asked Sasuke. Sakura showed him the seal on her gloves and it was a more advanced storage seal than he was used to seeing. The Dobi can make a seal like that. Is it possible to do wired shuriken? Asked Sasuke. Naruto nodded and began drawing out a larger version of the seal on a scroll. It looked different than Sakura's, but it had what Sasuke was looking for. A primary kanji for the shuriken storage and a second kanji for the storage of ninja wire. Naruto paused for a moment and added a third storage kanji that would be used for Fuma shuriken, since he remembered from the wave that Sasuke liked those as well. He then quickly scribes the seal matrix, intertwining them all as Sakura and Sasuke looked on in amazement as Naruto finished the first seal. He placed the first glove on top of the seal and made a few quick hand seals. Fuinjutsu. Seal imprint, Naruto called out as the seal that he had on the paper began to migrate onto the underside of the wrist of the glove. When all was said and done, the seal was no longer on the paper and it was now on the glove. The three kanji that he had drawn were there and a condensed version of the matrix was visible. Naruto did the second glove, Sasuke and Sakura watching closely to make sure the first wasn't a fluke. You got any shuriken, ninja wire, and even a Fuma shuriken or two? Fuma shuriken? Asked Sasuke. Yeah, I remembered you liking those so I added a third storage kanji for those, said Naruto. Sasuke quietly handed Naruto the stuff, not sure what to say. Naruto sealed the items and handed the gloves to Sasuke. Now, it may take a little to get used to how to channel the chakra through those seals, but it shouldn't take long. Sakura figured it out after about an hour. Sasuke nodded and faced one of the trees that were on top of the academy and summoned a few shuriken. The amount was more than he had hoped, but he was surprised that Naruto's seal even worked. On the next attempt summoning shuriken, he reduced his chakra by a lot and only got one shuriken to appear. Naruto was right, it would take a little getting used to, but he was already getting the hang of the amount of chakra to put in to summon a certain number of shuriken. He tried the wired shuriken and those worked well too, the wire not cutting until he decided to stop the flow in the wire compartment. What surprised him even more was how Naruto had added the Fuma shuriken compartment and how the seal could actually wire the shuriken for him. So, how are they? Asked Naruto. Are you sure you're Naruto? The Dobi I knew could never put something like this together, taunted Sasuke. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? What do you think I've been doing for the past months? Asked Naruto. Sasuke smirked, receiving the same from Naruto. Our first day back together and you two are already going at each other's necks. Huh, all three of them turned around to see Kakashi standing on top of the stairwell. You're late, shouted Naruto and Sakura. Yeah, sorry guys but you see. You just wanted to read that book you got, didn't you? Asked Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura shivered at the mention of that book. Yeah, so why don't we begin with some introductions, said Kakashi. What? But we already know each other. This isn't like the first time we met, sensei, said Sakura. She had the strange feeling that this was turning out to be just like the very first time they all met. I know, but I'm sure the three of you have changed quite a lot in the past month and I just want to get a feel for where everyone's at now, said Kakashi. How about you go first, Kakashi-sensei? And don't give us any of that no desire to tell us about stuff, said Naruto. Okay. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I like books, masks, and dogs. I dislike people who abandon their comrades. I guess you could say my hobby is reading, said Kakashi. How about you, Sakura? At least that was better than last time. This is still ridiculous though, thought Sakura. I'm Sakura, although you already know that. I like medicine and medical ninjutsu. I dislike being a burden and anyone who thinks I'm a weak just because I'm a girl. I guess my hobbies would be studying medicine and my goal is to become the strongest kunoichi like my master. Looks like she's taking her duties as a ninja more seriously now. It's funny how she used to be a silly little fangirl, yet she's grown a lot, thought Kakashi. Alright, Naruto you're next. Right. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, Hinata, and Fuinjutsu. I dislike people who unfairly judge others and those who insult the Hokages. My hobbies are eating different kinds of ramen, training, and studying Fuinjutsu. My dream is still the same. I'm going to become the strongest Hokage. Tabeo. Well, He's still a ramen addict, but the Fuinjutsu part is interesting. I look forward to seeing if he can surpass Minato-sensei, thought Kakashi. Alright Sasuke, you're last. HN. Uchiha Sasuke. I like training and getting stronger. I hate people who hurt and kill those I care about and worthless fangirls who could be doing something better than annoying me. My hobby is training. As for my dream, there are a few people I'm going to kill so they never take away my friends again. Interesting. He's still bent on revenge, but he's changing, even if it's slow. His reasons for wanting to kill them are becoming more reasonable and he's finally starting to open up, thought Kakashi. Good. All of you have changed and I'm interested to see where you all will go in the future. Now follow me. Team 7 followed Kakashi back to the site where they were first inducted as ninja, Training Ground 7. Brings back memories, doesn't it? Asked Sakura. You mean like me getting tied to a post, replied Naruto. Or me getting buried up to my neck in the ground, replied Sasuke. Sakura let out a small laugh and the three members heard the jingling of bells behind them. They turned around to see Kakashi carrying the same two bells that he had back when they were first formed as a team. Are those? I think you all know what to do. You've got 2 hours to get the bells from me. The ones who don't have a bell by the end of the time limit by dinner, said Kakashi. I suggest. Come at you with the intent to kill, right? Finished Sasuke, activating his Sharingan. Kakashi nodded and lifted his own headband. I've got a feeling I'm going to need this now, said Kakashi. The three genin braced themselves. Okay. Ready, set, go. With that, Team 7 darted off into the woods and Kakashi looked around to try and find them. Unlike the last time, it was much harder for him to detect them. He was relying on his Sharingan to find them, while last time he had been able to see them with simple observation skills. Come on and fight me, shouted Naruto, standing in the middle of the field in front of Kakashi. Once an idiot, always an idiot I guess, thought Kakashi. Sasuke and Sakura, who were watching were thinking the same thing. That is until they heard rustling coming from behind them. They turned to see that Naruto, or at least Naruto clones, had found them. Shish, that's a clone of mine. Just wait for my move and strike, said the clone. Both Sakura and Sasuke nodded at the clones as they disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto, you're still a bit off. I thought you would have learned by now, said Kakashi. Yeah, I'm going to show that I can kick your ass right here, right now, declared the Naruto clone. He charged at Kakashi, swinging his fist at Kakashi's face. Kakashi blocked with ease and threw the clone. Naruto managed to land on his feet so to not dispel himself. Naruto swung a few more times at Kakashi, basically a repeat of last time. As Naruto swung another punch at Kakashi, the silver-haired Jonin disappeared and reappeared behind Naruto, having his hands in a very familiar tiger seal. I thought you would have learned by now. What did I tell you about letting your enemies get behind you? Asked Kakashi. Before Naruto could move, it was too late. Hidden Leaf Ancient Supreme Taijutsu Technique. 1000 Years of Pain. Kakashi shouted as he rammed his fingers right up Naruto's ass, sending the unfortunate blonde flying and clutching his violated ass. The blonde crashed in the ground in front as Kakashi chuckled. It was at this time that Naruto disappeared in a cloud of smoke. What? Kakashi actually sounded surprised. In the trees, Sakura and Sasuke readied themselves. By the time Kakashi realized he had been fighting a clone this entire time, the real Naruto was already running towards him, hands in the same seal that Kakashi had just used. Hey Kakashi-sensei, what was that about not letting your enemies get behind you? Hidden Leaf Ancient Supreme Taijutsu Technique. 1000 Years of Pain. Naruto lunged forward, intending to pay Kakashi back for the first time they fought. Kakashi's eyes widened as Naruto's fingers came closer to their target. Just as Naruto was about to land the attack, Kakashi jumped. Damn it. I missed, swore Naruto. Sasuke saw this as his opportunity and unleashed a few shuriken at the airborne Kakashi. The shuriken wrapped around Kakashi, ensnaring him in wire. Kaiten. Dragon Fire Jutsu. Flames shot down the wires and engulfed Kakashi as Sasuke and Sakura jumped into the clearing with Naruto. Do you think you overdid it, Sasuke? Asked Sakura. Nope, replied Sasuke. When the flames died, Kakashi was replaced by a charred log. The three of them instantly snapped to attention when they realized they lost tabs on their opponent. Where? Asked Sasuke. His Sharingan couldn't pick up on any movements from Kakashi. Left. Right. Behind. Above. A pair of hands shot up out of the ground and grabbed Sasuke by the ankles, dragging him into the ground. Naruto and Sakura stepped back a little as Kakashi reappeared in front of them and standing over a buried Sasuke. Nice try, but the three of you can't get ahead of me that easily, joked Kakashi. Was all Sasuke said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. What? Shadow clone. But when did Sasuke learn that jutsu? Asked Naruto. Remember that day when he copied it off of you with the Sharingan? Asked Kakashi. Oh, right. I've still gotta kick his ass for that, replied Naruto. Futon. Great breakthrough, was heard from the bushes. Kakashi braced himself as a powerful gust of wind came from the bushes. At the same time, Naruto and Sakura disappeared in a puff of smoke, revealing them to be shadow clones as well. Kakashi felt a spike of pain in his thigh as he held his ground against Naruto's attack. When the wind subsided, he looked down to see a black-tipped Senbon embedded in his left leg. Got him, said Sakura in success. Yeah, but you only hit him with one of the Senbon, replied Sasuke. Still, that one has paralytic venom in it. It won't be enough to completely stop him, but it will slow him down, replied Sakura. I guess it's better than letting him run around uninhibited, said Sasuke. Kakashi drew his kunai as Naruto came charging him with his own kunai at the ready. Naruto slashed his knife at Kakashi, who blocked with his, until Naruto's kunai sliced through Kakashi's knife and left a small nick on his mask, drawing some blood. I see. Wind chakra channeled into your special kunai, not bad Naruto. You're getting better at deception with your clones as well, but that won't be enough to stop me, said Kakashi as he jumped back onto the water and began flipping through hand seals. Sweeten. Water Dragon Bullet. Naruto tried to run as a giant water dragon came roaring down on top of him. This Naruto wasn't a clone and he couldn't do anything to avoid being washed away by the water. Naruto felt a wire wrap around him as he was pulled from the water by Sasuke. Damn it, swore Naruto. The three genin of Team 7 regrouped on the branches of some nearby trees. We need another plan, said Sasuke. I think I might have one, listen in, said Sakura. Kakashi had taken cover behind a tree, waiting for the next attack. His students were running out of time and he knew they would need to attack soon if they wanted to get the bells. Kakashi noticed the three of them crouching down in a bush ahead of him. Are you sure that will work? Asked Sakura to Naruto. Yeah. All we need to do is get that book of his, said Naruto. What are you three thinking of doing with my precious book? Asked Kakashi, standing above them. The three genin snapped to attention. Kakashi's eyes narrowed as he threw two kunai into Naruto and Sasuke, dispelling the shadow clones. Eep, was all Sakura could say before Kakashi threw a kunai into her as well, dispelling her. However, Sakura was not a shadow clone and she disappeared in a flurry of Sakura blossoms. Genjutsu, said Kakashi. Kai. He released the Genjutsu just in time to see another wired shuriken wrap around him. The shuriken then transformed into Naruto, as Kakashi realized that Naruto and Sasuke had done something similar to him that they did against Zabuza, using a transformed Naruto, disguised as a shuriken. Kakashi instantly threw Naruto away, breaking free of the wire that restrained him. Not bad. You three are definitely faring better than the last time we fought, I'll give you that, said Kakashi. In the distance, they heard a ring of the alarm as it went off, indicating that they had reached the time limit. Better, but not good, huh? Kakashi felt for the bells but realized that they weren't there. Looking for these, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto, holding up the pair of bells. Sakura let out a little laugh and Sasuke just smiled. Kakashi let out a sigh. Looks like you guys win this one, admitted Kakashi. The three of you really have come a long way. A growl was heard from Naruto's stomach. So where are you treating us to dinner, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto. Team 7 arrived at the barbecue restaurant that Kakashi was planning on treating them to. When they stepped inside. Team 8, Team 10, and Team Guy were also there. Kakashi, you're late, said Kurenai. Sasuke. So you didn't get up and disappear. Get over here you bad boy, squealed Ino. Sakura's and Tenten's sweat dropped. Tenten had always disliked fangirls, and now that Sakura had given up on being a fangirl to become a better kunoichi, Ino was now considered a bit of a disappointment in their eyes. When Sasuke took his seat, he intended to have Sakura on his left and Naruto on the right, acting as any sort of barrier for the ravage fangirl of the group. This would also place Naruto next to Hinata, but before Naruto could sit, Ino snatched the seat from under him. Was I really that bad? Muttered Sakura. No, the two of you always competing with one another made it worse, replied Naruto. Naruto felt a sudden spike of killing intent from Sakura and realized he better find his seat soon. Fortunately, Kurenai offered to take the seat next to Asuma, where Ino had been sitting, while Naruto could sit on the other side of Hinata. A little into the dinner, Naruto finally asked one question that was on everyone's mind. Hey Kakashi-sensei, so do you know what the Kumo exams are like? Everyone stopped their conversations and listened in. Well, let me see, Kakashi thought for a moment. I know for sure that it will be the same structure as our exam was. All the Chunin exams use the same format now, ever. Since the last Cage Summit was held after the First Shinobi World War and the Chunin exams were formed to take place of war in peace times. I know for certain that there will be some sort of information gathering exam as the first exam, a type of survival exercise as the second exam, and a series of single combat matches as the third exam. So what is each exam going to be like? Asked Kiba. Well, the first exam I'm not really sure. I've seen different tests given at different locations. For us, it's usually a form of written examination where you are encouraged to cheat to test your information gathering skills. I know that Suna does the same as we do, but I believe Kiri, Iwa, and Kumo do a different type of test. I know one of them does an interrogation as their test. It might be Kumo, in fact I think it is, but I'm not positive, said Kakashi. Okay. Sounds easy enough, said Kiba, putting on a mask of confidence. How about the second exam, sensei? Sakura asked this time, and it was Asuma that answered. The survival exam is very similar across the board. Basically, you will be assigned as teams to compete against one another over various items. It will be very much like the second exam you all took, just they may be asking you obtain different items and the terrain will obviously be different, said Asuma. And the third exam, you said will be one-on-one matches. So I'm guessing there will be a tournament like our exams, asked Shikamaru. He decided to join along even though he wasn't participating in the exams. Shikamaru had been given permission to travel along with the rest of the Konoha ninja as an official. Now that's where Kumo is different, said Guy. What do you mean, Guy-sensei? Asked Lee. Kumo likes to see as many of their Chunin hopefuls pass as possible, so they have adopted a system that favors many participants in the final exams. They don't do a tournament like we do, where more competitors means more matches. More matches means that competitors get exhausted, and by the time the final matches are held, the candidates are too tired to put on their best performance. Also, given the number of Chunin hopefuls they like to have in their third round, their system is a bit more time effective than a tournament, which I honestly don't understand, explained Guy. Why's that, bushy brow sensei? Asked Naruto. Their third round consists of 2 sets of matches, held 3 days apart from each other. You fight the first round of matches and then you're given 3 days to recuperate for the second round. As long as you can fight, you will have a second match, said Guy. So everyone has 2 matches to impress the judges, asked Tenten. Yes. Kumo does this to ensure they promote the most Chunin possible. It is very rare to see a ninja be promoted after a single match, especially if they lose, explained Guy. I see. So this way, even if you lose your first match due to a bad matchup or something, you still have another chance, said Shikamaru. I see how Kumo would use this system to ensure that their candidates have a chance to show off more if they truly do like to stack the ranks with their own shinobi. Yes, you'll all be at a disadvantage being at a foreign exam, but I have faith that your flames of youth will burn bright. All of you, shouted Guy. Lee got fired up with his sensei. Kiba shivered at the thought, and everyone else's sweat dropped. Now hold on. Ino, if you and Choji are competing, don't you need a third? Asked Sakura. Yeah. Tsunade-sama helped us there and found us a third. We met him the other day and he seems pretty polite, said Ino. So, who is he? Asked Sakura. He's actually from Neji and Hinata's clan, Shinji's his name, said Ino. Instantly, Hinata stiffened. Neji nearly choked on his food. And Naruto growled. Ino caught this. What? Ino, he's not what you think, said Hinata. He's most likely acting polite so he can get the approval by Tsunade-sama to be in the team. But in reality, he's well, Neji's politeness was stopping him from finding the correct words. He's a complete ass, replied Naruto. Every time I run into him at Hinata's house, he's always insulting her and putting her down. I swear if I run into him in the exams I'm going to shove a Rasengan up his ass to keep that gigantic stick company. Naruto, responded Hinata. Sorry, you know how worked up he gets me though, responded Naruto. Naruto's right. He is, to put it nicely, a main branch Hyuga, said Neji. But, isn't Hinata in the main branch? Asked Choji. They can't be that bad, can they? Yes. You have to realize that Hinata is not liked amongst the main branch because she's gentle and kind, something they see as weak, said Neji. He's just an arrogant, selfish prick, said Naruto. Besides, Hinata could kick his ass any day. I'll just say this, he's worse than Neji used to be, way worse. And what's that supposed to mean, Naruto? Neji glared at the blonde. You know what I meant. The main difference is that you were mad at everyone for what happened in your past, he's just an ass to anyone he sees as inferior to him, said Naruto. Suddenly, Ino and Choji were cursing their fortune in finding a third. Ino, Choji. The best piece of advice I can give you is just to put up with him. You only need to do so for the first 2 exams, afterwards you're pretty much done with him. He won't care about the 2 of you besides what is needed for him to pass. I suggest you handle him the same, advised Neji. When the meal and conversations finally ended, everyone went their separate way. Naruto was fortunate enough to catch Kakashi before he left though. Kakashi-sensei, there's something I want to talk to you about. I know. You want to know about him, don't you? Asked Kakashi, pulling out his own Hiraishin kunai that Minato had given him for his becoming a Jonin present. Please, asked Naruto. Well, it's getting late so how about we talk tomorrow evening, sound good? Naruto nodded to Kakashi. Good, now go and get some rest so you can put some good effort into the training this next week, said Kakashi. Besides, I hear you've got a cool new jutsu you need to work on.